So what can we expect to come of Prime Minister Bennett's historic meeting in the Emirates? President of the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security, Professor Efraim Inbar, with the analysis. Professor, thanks for joining us. Now to start, it's a year into the peace with the Gulf, the first official meeting of an Israeli Prime Minister in the UAE. Did you ever think that you'd see this day?
You know, we can always dream, and some of the dreams are coming true. UAE, within the framework of the Abraham Accords, has made a major decision to start a warm peace with Israel, in contrast to the Egyptian peace with Israel. And it's really amazing how fast this relationship is developing. We have already over 500 million trade between the two countries. And just to remind you that Egypt, that has 80 million people, in contrast to 10 million people of UAE, the mutual trade is about half of it.
Tell us about, the tightrope, really, that the UAE needs to walk between Iran and the West.
Well, they are very good at balancing their policies. So on one hand, they have, Navy exercise with the United States and Israel. On the other hand, they sent a high-level delegation to Tehran. One of their companies is building power plants in Iran. And, they are careful. They don't know what will happen eventually. They don't know if Iran will have the upper hand or Israel. So although their open embrace of Israel, they are at the same time keeping some kind of contacts with Iran because they are afraid.
All right, so what other issues, besides Iran were discussed or are likely to be discussed between Prime Minister Bennett and Mohammed bin Zayed?
Of course, there is a common agenda. First of all, Turkey. Turkey is more aggressive in the Middle East, and the UAE is clearly in the anti-Turkish camp, despite the visit of embassy to Ankara a few weeks ago, and the rumors about Emirati largesse there. They will try maybe to disconnect Turkey from Qatar, their neighbor, which both are supporting radical Islam. There is another issue which is clear, is Libya. UAE is supporting in the civil war Egypt, while Turkey is supporting the Tripoli government, which has Islamic elements. And we, of course, are on the side of the Egyptians. We both try probably to coordinate efforts in the United States in order to make the United States more supportive of the Abraham Accords. So this is a clear, foreign policy agenda that we are sharing.
All right. Well, I hope that the positive trends continue in the UAE, in Israel, and of course the rest of the region. Efraim Inbar, thank you so much for joining us.
Inshallah.